Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning. Salam sejahtera everyone. To distinguished speakers, our visitors, friends from who come all the way from Germany, from Netherlands, and from Spain. Nice meeting you again. Last time we met was in May in Madrid. Okay, so for USM, our role is actually, as mentioned earlier, is to be involved in this. The project is about to help single mothers to be involved in entrepreneurship. All right, so that is our intention. So the first part of the our work actually is we have done a bit of feasibility study, and I will share with you some of the outcomes of this feasibility study. All right. Before we move into this research findings on feasibility study, but basically just to share with us, especially for those who are not from Malaysia, regarding the internet situation in Malaysia. So overall, in terms of internet penetration, there's only about less than 78% of the population are internet users. That is of 2016. And we are ranked third behind Brunei and Singapore. Yeah? Not that bad. Yeah? Not that bad. Okay. And then, again, about 78% use broadband. Smartphone is found to be the most popular device right now. And then, of course, because of that, then majority of them access the internet through their mobile phones. Of course, there's still a disparity or gap between the rural and the urban population. And then based on the research found that those who are between 15 to 24 actually are the ones with the highest percentage of being online. Yeah? We can predict that. Yeah? And then followed by those 25 to 34. But our target audience later on this research is those 20-something, 30-something, 40-year-old people. So these single mothers. Yeah? Those above 55 years old were reported to be the least to access online. So that's the one of the groups actually we want to focus also. Of course, as I mentioned just now, disparity is still quite large. 62% are from urban area, whereas the rest are from rural area. And access to rural location is still a bit problematic, limited, I would say. So when we want to implement this MOOC initiative, definitely we have to look into all these considerations. We have to consider all these factors. And a bit of about policies and guidelines in terms of MOOC initiative. Of course, the Ministry of Higher Education has aspire to become developed, prosperous, competitive nation in 2020. So they have a strategized direction of higher education. Yeah? So one of the critical agenda projects of the ministry is, of course, the e-learning. Yeah? So I'm sure all of us here are actually e-learning, those who are very much interested in e-learning. So this is nothing new for especially the Malaysians. And the ministry has launched Dasar E-Pembelajaran Negara, or National E-Learning Policy, in 2011. This is just a guiding principle for e-learning deployment among our Malaysian higher education institutions. So the main idea is for the HEIs to use ICT as enabler to improve the quality of teaching and learning. It has 5 pillars. The version 1, the first version has 5 pillars. I'm not going to discuss about that. But basically, it requires each university to deploy its own LMS, develop original content, utilize a blended learning approach, and establish professional development program. Okay, and then they started this in 2011. So it has 3 stages: the initial stage, the enable phase, and optimize phase. Then they introduced this e-learning policy in version 2, so that includes open education involving open OER, OCW, and MOOCs. So MOOCs is the latest one in that e-learning policy. So compared to the first version, which only has 5 pillars, the latest version, the learning policy, e-learning policy, has 6 main domains. Yeah? It started in 2015, and then it has enable phase. We are in the enable phase, and then optimize phase from 21 to 25. One of the things, some of the components is actually in the initial stage, it hopes that university has e-learning, use e-learning 2.0 platform, and MOOC is ready. Okay, and then now we are in the enable phase. Yeah? For the open courses, interestingly, they require each university to have at least 3 MOOC courses. Yeah, in the initial stage or initial phase. Now requires at least 5 MOOC courses from each university. All right, and enculturation. Okay. As mentioned by our honorable Deputy Vice Chancellor just now, one of the initiatives is launched by the Ministry of Education is Malaysian Education Blueprint, yeah, from 2015 to 2025, which the ministry has introduced 10 shifts. These are the 10 shifts, but our focus in relation to this, our study is on the globalized online learning and also lifelong learner. Okay, so we focus on this globalized online learning. So the whole idea is what we call as GOL, goal, as the 9th shift. It is an important enabler in achieving Malaysia's goal in terms of access, quality, and efficiency of higher education. Yeah? So that the main focus is to introduce, to enrich using OER, OCW, and MOOCs. So MOOC initiatives in Malaysia is relatively new. It started in 2011. The first university, 2013, sorry. One of the private universities in Malaysia has started using MOOC in 2013. And then 2014, the ministry has declared Malaysia as the first country to implement MOOCs for all public universities. So it is really a top-down approach in which all 20 public universities are required to use, to be involved in using MOOCs. Several committees have been established for that purpose, and each university needs to have its own MOOC team. All right. And we are using open learning. So unlike what we are going to learn or to be trained for the next 2 days, we are going to use different platform. Interestingly, because it is top-down initiative, so the MOOCs, the courses have to have general course, a niche course, lifelong learning course. It depends on the university. As of yesterday, I checked, there are more than 250 courses, yeah, with more than 300,000 students registered in those MOOC courses. I'm talking about the former, by all these public universities. Yeah? And of course, the champion is UKM. Anybody from UKM here? Which has 91 MOOC courses. Last time, there's only, last May when I presented, it's about 60 something. Now it becomes 91 courses. Okay? And you can see which university is still trying very hard to have their own MOOC courses. Okay? hey, only 2 courses. Anybody from UM? Hopefully nobody from UM. Okay. All right, so these are just some, as of yesterday, based on the website. Okay, so there are more than 250 courses. And of course, some private universities also have been using MOOC for quite some time. But again, we are using open learning platform. And because of that, we are given some kind of guidelines actually to design and develop our MOOCs. So for instance, the MOOC courses have to have course component, course development, delivery, and credit transfer. So I'm not going to discuss about this. You can look at from the website. Okay, I'm going to talk about the feasibility study on MOOC for single mothers in Malaysia, the one that we conducted the study. So we work together with Kanita, the directors here, Center for Research on Women and Gender, Associate Professor Dr. Noraida, and Associate Professor Dr. Fiza. Please introduce yourself, raise your hand. All right. So these are, because their center is dealing with research on women and gender. So we went and collected data. We met a group of potential trainees or participants for this training, for this MOOC. So some of the main idea or objectives of the study is actually to measure their readiness prior to attending the training in entrepreneurial skills. Okay, so we would like to measure their prior knowledge and their skills in using ICT, their internet accessibility, and their prior knowledge on motivation, attitude in online learning environment. Some of them have never heard about MOOC before. So it is interesting for us when we conducted the study. Of course, we assume that they are supposed to be ready before we conduct the training to them. And also, we would like to see whether they have that kind of support. They do have some kind of support either from their family members, from their friend, from the association, the relevant association. So we did measure that. So it is a mixed method whereby we do have, we conducted a survey using questionnaire, and also 2 focus group interviews were involved, right? So in the questionnaire, we measured how ready they are in terms of MOOC itself, ICT, and also in terms of their entrepreneurial skills. So we have these 2 components, MOOC readiness and also entrepreneurship skills readiness. It is a 29-item questionnaire in terms of demographics, ICT, MOOC readiness, and the entrepreneurship readiness. So some of the questions are from various sources. We adapted from various sources. So we look into, for the qualitative, we look into the knowledge on ICT, online learning, and also MOOC itself, their personal characteristics, readiness in technology access, ICT skills, motivations, and more importantly also is the challenges and barriers if they are to join our MOOC training. So there were 97 participants finally. We managed to get them involved, whereby 63% of them actually are widows, and 34 are actually divorcees. Yeah? And majority of them are above 50 years old, because they are the ones who are interested. They are doing, some of them are doing small-scale businesses. Okay? So they are involved in this our interview, our survey, and then some of them between 41 to 50 years old. But in terms of education level, none of them have a degree. They are either, most of them are school leavers only, because they are the ones who actually are doing all this small business, and some of them look forward to participate and do some kind of small business in future. All right, and then income, in terms of income, majority of them receive between less than 2,000 ringgit per month. Yeah? 2,000 ringgit in staying in Penang, so kind of a bit problematic to them. Okay, in terms of MOOC readiness, in terms of device ownership, some of them do have smartphones and handphones, okay, but only few have tablet, okay. So that's one of the things that we notice in terms of device ownership. In terms of access to device, yes, majority of them have smartphone, and some of them are using PC. Some of them also work in office. Yeah? And then out of this less than 100 participants, we found that only about 65% actually have access to the internet. Okay, only 65% have access to internet. And then where do they access the internet? They access it mostly from home. And then some of them from office. In terms of how frequent they access internet, we found that about 75% access every day. Yeah, so it is a good indicator for us if you want to implement this MOOC training to them. So they do not have problem accessing, majority of them accessing every day. But in terms of computer skills, there is a bit a limitation here in the sense that some of them, almost half of them, do not have computer skills. Yeah? Yes, majority of them use internet browsers and search engines, although some of them do not know how to use them. About 50%, a majority, 57% do not have email account. This is one of the things that we have to provide training to them, yeah? Because if majority of them do not have the email account, so we have to do something about it. In terms of internet use, we found that majority of them use internet to search for information and for communication purposes and for learning purposes. Very small percentage for entertainment purposes, which is good, right? These are single mothers who either so busy with family or doing their small business activities. And we did ask them whether they have assistance if they have problems using internet. More than 75% actually do have their kids or siblings or friends to help them in using internet. So in terms of internet usage, probably they can get support from someone else. In terms of readiness to use online devices, majority of them agree that they are ready because they have smartphones. They are ready to learn or participate in MOOC training because they have the smartphone and they can use their smartphone. Okay, some of them also use their tab or home PC. We also have questions like whether they are interested in learn online courses such as MOOC. One thing that they agree, of course, they would like to learn free online courses using MOOC platform. They want it free, okay? And they hope to receive some kind of certification. For them, certificate is very important for them to move forward and also to do their business later. And we also ask them what kind of approach that they want to be involved when participate in this MOOC training. They said both, whether fully online or also blended learning. Because for them, the support from the peers is very, very important. From the association is very important. They admit that they cannot work alone. They will not be able to learn individually. So we have to consider this factor whereby we have to call upon them to have a face-to-face training sessions besides attending online MOOC online environment. Two of the main challenges that they claim are time constraint. That's very obvious. They have difficulty to spend time for MOOC training later on. They admitted that. And then another problem is lack of skills in using technology. So one of the components that we're thinking of later on is we provide them training on how to use ICT first. Yeah? So that's another finding that we observe. And then beside investigating their ICT MOOC readiness, we also ask them about their entrepreneurial skills. Yeah? So we ask them whether they are currently involved or they do have intention to involve, and reasons of involvement, and also their knowledge and practices in business and entrepreneurship. About less than 40% are currently involved in some kind of business or entrepreneurship. Majority of them, of course, no involvement. But those who are not involved in any kind of small business or entrepreneurship, they are interested to start venturing in the business world. Yeah? So that's our finding, meaning if we combine, we will end up with about 70–80% of them are actually interested to participate in this entrepreneurship skills through MOOC platform. What are the reasons why they are involved and they intend to involve? Some of the findings, of course, to have main source of income, that's definitely, and to obtain some or additional or extra income, and then to obtain economic assurance. These are single mothers who are the breadwinners, sole breadwinners for the family. So some of them either want to support, be involved and do small business as a main source of income. Okay, and several other reasons are to occupy my free time. For instance, some of their friends actually are already involved, say they are also interested to participate and be involved in doing small business. And some of the family members are also involved, so they are kind of interested to participate, to do some kind of business also. And of course, they notice that some of the factors, they do notice the importance of business and what are the elements needed, required in doing business. So they're aware that some of this, for instance, doing financial plan, identifying potential clients, they do recognize or realize those importance. And then besides interviewing or having questionnaire, conducting survey to the single mothers, we also asked 3 groups of stakeholders, regarding, from the stakeholders' perspective, regarding whether these single mothers are ready to be involved in MOOC training. So we have Penang Women Development Center, and then Penang Single Mothers Association, and also one House of Hope, Dr. Hafizah, am I right? These 3 associations or organizations actually that we went to interview them. And then we also had one interview with instructor university. He's also the MOOC administrating MOOC initiative in public university. One of the things that we observe is actually based on one of the organizations that they need some kind of motivation. Motivation, meaning these are single mothers who are mostly the sole breadwinners, who have 4 or 5 kids to take care of at home and do some kind of small business. So they need some kind of sharing session, meaning face-to-face is very, very important to them, because we cannot just simply leave them alone online without giving them some kind of support. So they need some kind of a networking session and face-to-face session. As I mentioned, they need a support group. And then because having this support group, then they can also create a network. When we interviewed this group of people, we did survey, even people all the way from Perak, they came and they're also interested to participate. And I think now they started to ask around where we can start this MOOC initiative, when we can start this MOOC initiative. And then, of course, the Penang Women Development Center, they do not provide, they cannot provide a set and physical space, but they have all the connections to those relevant organizations, people out there, so that this MOOC initiative can be brought further. So that's when on Thursday they're going to meet the minister, Minister of Women Affairs, so to talk about this. And then we will also get more people involved later on through this Single Mothers Association. One of the issues also is language. So we found that as the respondents say that it is also good idea to have the MOOC environment to be offered in several different languages. Malay language, Chinese or Indian, and even Sarawak Unimas will be involved. It will also be translated into local language. Okay, and then they are confident, especially the single mothers at the association, but for some, financial would be one of the main challenges. So that's why perhaps we need to talk to these relevant parties to help assist us in terms of financial support. And then we also interviewed one of these key players in MOOC Initiative Malaysia. One of the things, it has to be relevant. The topic has to be relevant. Participants need high motivation. So we have to figure out when we design, develop the content, it has to be really motivate them. What are the challenges? Again, lack of support, lack of awareness, So we need to disseminate the information and promote this program in future. And we worry about high attrition rate. Yeah, common to MOOC in Malaysia. So there are some courses, very small number of people. Even then, we are not sure whether people will really stay in and participate and learn in that MOOC environment. Another issue, a challenge, is the quality of the MOOC design. So we should be addressed in that 1 or 2 days. And also recognition and reward, although this is not relevant to our MOOC project. It has to be driven by top management and recognition also. Okay, I think that's from the instructor, the key player of MOOC in university. So in general, we found that in Malaysia in general, the MOOC initiative have started for what, 3, 4, 5 years, and then it is relatively new, especially new for lifelong learning. So if we want to train these single mothers, so we conducted this feasibility study. Yes, of course they are interested, but they really need training, they really need support, they really need motivation. So if these aspects, if these factors are not being taken care of, so I think we will have problems in the future. So with that, I thank you. Thank you.